So, maybe we can talk a little about Poland. Is this your first time in Poland? Yes.
First time in this part of the world ever, yeah.
So, what do you think about this country?
So far, I love it. I love it. The exchange rate's good. Everybody seems friendly. There's not a ton of crime here. It's a nice downtown. You can walk to the square. Great coffee shops. Great pierogies. Great vodka. So I'm pretty stoked about this place. It gets a lot of ticks on my list.
And what do you think about this show? This is something like in the USA show before event, or this is something's change in Poland?
Well, I mean, it's definitely different. It's got a different feel. I'm excited to see how many people we can get out here tomorrow. How much. Again, this is the first event here. Still building a base. A fan base here. We've got a big advantage, though. You've got her, obviously. You've got Jan Blachowicz. You've got a couple great fighters from Poland. And I think it's only a matter of time before they become stars here and it catches on.
Do you know something about another fighters? Not only Blachowicz, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Do you know something about another fighters?
Well, yeah. There's another Polish fighter on the card. I think he's coming off a good win too. So. What 145? What's he fight at?
145.
Feather
was Pawlak, Bandel, Fabiński, maybe. Yeah. Okay. If you came here, if you think about Poland, what do you expect from this MMA, from this first event?
I don't know what to expect. I think it's going to be embraced. I don't see why I wouldn't. We brought her for crying out loud.
We talk about MMA, about the best organization in the world. This is UFC. Do you watch some another event? Do you know about some KSW in Poland? What do you think about UFC, KSW, and another organization?
I don't know that much about KSW, but I know it's popular here. I know you guys are producing some good fighters from it, so I'm interested in it now.
Is there something?
I've actually seen when Pudzianowski fought those two. I actually saw it. So.
And Mamed Khalidov, maybe? Do you know something about Mamed Khalidov? Do you know this guy?
Is he the
Mamed
guy?
Khalidov. He fight for the KSW too.
Did he used to fight in the UFC? Who's the guy who used to fight in the UFC?
Mamed Khalidov, no. Mamed, no.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Who's the Polish guy beat Drew McFederis? Remember him? He was in the UFC years ago.
Oh yeah. Tomasz Drwal.
Yes, that's him.
Yeah. Okay, and the last question.
If they're not in the UFC, I don't know him yet.
Oh yeah. and the last question. We have now UFC with numbers. We have UFC Fight Nights. Some people say that is too much for the.
I think the key is to kind of to globalize, to have, different places, different fan bases from different places. So we need you guys to get the word out there. Who's the guy you were talking about?
I talked about Bartosz Fabiński. Do you know this guy? In the middleweight? No.
Oh, middle? Okay, yeah.
Garrett McClellan?
I don't know anything about it. South Africa?
Yes, South Africa.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. I don't know. We'll find out. So what I've been doing is having people write the names down, and then I wander around and find that name on the street or on the bar, or restaurant, whatever I'm looking for, Because I have no concept of. I can't remember things because I can't say them to begin with. So I'm lost a lot, but it's you just find the square and you can kind of find your way from there.
Now this is a new market for the UFC, but I think everybody kind of knew that Poland has kind of a hotbed for MMA. It's so popular here. What have been your impressions of the MMA scene here in Poland?
Well, the one thing that struck me doing media with Joanna, how do you say her name? Joanna? Yeah, Joanna. Is that she's actually more popular in the States than she is here. We need to fix that. She needs to be more popular here. She's the face of MMA in Poland. in the U.S. And we kind of like, oh man, she's got so much power for 115. She's a tremendous athlete. We got to kind of realize that over here a little bit. We kind of get the message out that you guys have one of the best fighters in the world from Poland. Not from Brazil, not from Canada, not from the U.S., from Poland.
Yeah. It seems that sometimes when it comes to female fighters, there's a bit of a stigma. Like, I read the message board. Sometimes you read some pretty negative stuff. But you feel that,
I'm much smarter than you. I don't read the message board.
Exactly. Yeah. But it seems like female MMA has come a long way, but it still isn't on the same level or like in terms of interest.
I tell you, well, there's a lot of interest in it. I mean, just look at the Rousey fight.
Yeah.
The last couple of Rousey fights have sold well. She's huge. She was doing media in Brazil. It was out of control. Like people were, it was silliness. And there's more disparity in the talent level. Like you have you have a couple. Actually, her weight class is pretty competitive. You have a couple athletes that are kind of head and shoulders above the rest. So there's not a lot of depth to the divisions yet, but that'll come. That'll come. Women's collegiate wrestling in the States has picked up a bit. It'll come, but right now it's still top heavy. You got 3 or 4 good people, and then everybody else is kind of thin. Not quite on the same level. It's the same way men's MMA was 10 years ago.
Yeah. So you'd say it's more kind of a question of time?
Yeah, it'll come. And then I think Joanna, having power, knocking people out, knocking people down at 115, that's exciting. That's something you don't expect women to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not like that. I don't stereotype. I'm pretty open-minded.
Yeah. Well, that's why I appreciate you. That's always been very popular with fans as well, aside from the fighting. I want to talk about your division a little bit. The next biggest fight in the light heavyweight division is of course between John Jones, Anthony Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how do you break down that fight? Who do you have picked as a winner?
Well, I don't pick winners.
How do you break it down?
Here's what I've seen. I got to watch some more fights, but here's what I've seen. John Jones against Glover, against Cormier, went in with an attitude that he was going to beat them at what they were best at. He beat Glover in the pocket, which is what people like me said, well, as long as he stays out of the pocket with him, he'll win. And no, it was right in there. Right. He went where Glover was best and won that fight there. He out-wrestled Daniel Cormier. I don't think he's going to try and outpower Anthony Johnson. I think he'll come in with a better game plan. He's got good coaches, good people. He'll stick to his game plan. And, it'll be kind of more the way he fought Quinton. Okay. Obviously Quinton's a step slower than Johnson. Maybe doesn't have as long arms. Maybe, probably, so it's not going to, and always something.
Something just happened.
Yeah. But I think he'll use his length more. I think he'll stay outside. I think he'll, kind of touch and move and then get the takedown when it's there. I don't know if he can take Johnson down, though. Johnson's just a little ball of muscle. But you see the length difference. Yeah. We'll see. I think he fights smarter.
Now, to get to this position, Johnson got past Alexander Gustafsson in a fight that most people expected Gustafsson to win.
That's why I don't pick. Because secretly I thought he was going to win. I thought, he works out with Jimmy Manuel, who is a similar power punching style to Johnson, so he'll be ready for that. But you get clips, you get clipped. Everything changes, and I thought. Johnson looked great in that. He looked great against
Nogueira?
Well, obviously, but Davis.
Oh, yeah.
And Phil Davis. That's why I don't pick fights. Yeah. But, I think Gustafsson will be back. He'll be fine.
Well, he's booked now against Glover Teixeira, but before that, he was pretty down. There was even he said in an interview that he had thoughts of retirement and stuff like that. And I can imagine that with his first knockout loss, you take it pretty hard, and he's still a very young fighter. What kind of advice would you have to young fighters who maybe get that first big setback, and what would you say to them to encourage them to keep on going?
Just take your time with it. Don't push things. For me, After I lost that fight to Silva, I was kind of despondent. But one thing I found is that I would just drive to the gym. I would just get in my car and instinctively drive to the gym. And I wanted to train. I just didn't want to have to hear people talk about it, you know? So I would say if somebody else gets knocked out, if your friend or your training partner, just don't say shit about it. Just move on like it never happened and be like, let's work on guillotines today. Like, just totally something, you know, because you want to go back and train. You just don't want to have to face the gym. You don't want everybody to say, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like, let's skip past that shit, you know?
Now, with such a dominant champion as John Jones, that some people see that
I hurt my neck swimming.
Okay, yeah, so it's not weird ticks then.
What's that?
So it's not just weird ticks.
I mean, it could be weird ticks too. I'm highly caffeinated. Way too much caffeine. It's the jet lag, but no, I swim so bad. I was trying to what can I do that won't hurt my body? But when I breathe for air, I think I breathe like, so I can't even, anyway.
That's right.
So now I can't even swim.
Yeah, well, keep doing what you're doing, that's fine. And when with such a dominant champion as John Jones, people are saying that if he does win his next couple of fights, there's not a whole lot left from him in the division. Would you like to see him perhaps move up to heavyweight?
2 years ago, there was no Gustafsson, wasn't on anybody's radar. 2 years ago, Anthony Johnson wasn't on anybody's radar. Within a year, there'll be a new guy. Maybe it's Blachowicz.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he gets with gets his wrestling, gets his takedown defense, and his get-ups a little better, and So you never know who's going to emerge and start looking really good, you know? So it's a new game, man. They're out there.
Well, yeah, like I said, MMA is developing, at a static rate, and more fans are getting introduced to sports, and as it's getting more mainstream. For the fans who are just getting into it, that weren't following it when you were at your best and stuff like that, what message you have for the new fans of MMA and UFC?
I mean, the message would be that this isn't barbaric or this isn't violence as you think it. This is the essence of human competition. This is the first sport ever, wrestling, fighting. It's kind of a sport without, an offsides penalty because the guy kicked the ball in the stupid, there's a ball, you kick the ball in the net. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's great exercise. But what happens when those guys really get mad? They start fighting. They start punching. So that's what we've just skipped right to the meat of it. We've skipped to the good stuff, No big pads, nothing, You make it as safe as possible. But it's not truly safe because it is, in fact, fighting. We are trying to, render your opponent helpless to some extent. It's the essence of human confrontation. See, it's actually more pure than you think. It's not like this violent thing with tattooed guys, just crazy tattooed guys with weird haircuts, and it's not. I think that's why the fight with me and Stefan was, kind of important. Is we're very much normal guys, just average looking, no tattoos. Don't even have much muscle. We're not tan. We're just people. Yeah. And you realize, that guy Forrest could be my next door neighbor. He seems like just kind of a regular guy. Why does he fight? Oh, because he likes competition. Because it is the premier form of competition. Because I liked it because towards the middle of my career, I would be just nauseous, just like the anxiety, But if you can overcome that, you're better for it. So there's a lot to it. It's a good sport.
Very well, personally, and released a message on Instagram where he's, saying that some people can't go out to take an ass whooping like a man. I could end your life and your career. He took it very personally. So, I was just wondering, what's your take on sort of, and it's such a several months after the fight as well. What's your take on this whole situation?
That's the first I heard of it. I hope he didn't say I could end your life. That's a little too much.
He wrote it, yeah.
That's too far afield. You can't say that. Get in the guy's career potentially, yeah. There's going to be some of that. I don't know. We are trying to mainstream. We are trying to get blue chip sponsors. We are trying to attract people that aren't going to go for that sort of thing. But I understand the emotion of the thing. Yeah. I understand. I've been there. I know how to say inappropriate things in a time of anger. And I feel like as much as we do need to have a better message, a more, you know, a more palatable, you know, sport for just a more palatable message thing for the mainstream. One of the things that to me makes the UFC very exciting is the personal element, that emotion, that this is real. Like, that's a real emotion from a real guy. And he probably didn't need to Instagram it, but, you know, that's what, I mean, you know, there's always going to be things like that. Like, people say inappropriate things after fights, etc. Because it's real. It's a real thing. There's really, you know, it's not planned. It's not scripted. These are real humans with real emotions. So, I mean, I take that stance. Until people start calling and saying, "Hey, we're pulling out," then we're like, "Okay, we'll clean that out."